Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am your host, Zach, and today we're looking at the budget bug-out bag in my not-so-budget Maxpedition Remora gear sling. So let's get in it today on Airborne Outdoors. Okay, here we go, guys. We just got everything all dumped out on the table. Got our Maxpedition Remora, which, by the way, it's about $72 on Amazon right now. And if that sounds like a little much for you, just know that this is a super high quality bag. You are not going to find, and it's small enough to, it's kind of like a small man purse where you got plenty of room in the front here for your wallet and keys and cell phone, and then in the main pouch you got your little survival kit, and so you're all ready, and it doesn't look like you're carrying around a big ton of gear. So let's just get into this kit, guys. It's just all laid here. I'll try to kind of name out some prices and some options, but let's just go with the cutting option. Again, like I said yesterday's video, that little Ozark Trails, that their new release knife for this holiday season, 7.5-inch stainless steel, fine edge, fixed blade, full tang knife, nice edge on it, great little sheath, and the sheath options as far as holes here for a neck knife, some holes here to be able to strap it down to the front of your bag, a belt loop there to be able to loop that on your belt, or even clip it on your pocket, and just in a situation where you're setting up your shelter and cutting cordage, and just have that nice blade, quick and easy, handy to grab. So there's our cutting option. Let's just tuck that in the bag. Cordage, we went with the just because we're thinking budget for this kit, guys. You know, the $72 bag, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. You could throw this in a $5 nylon bag. Whatever you have. I just don't have a really cheap bag to throw this in, but maybe I'll grab one just to help show what kind of options we have for really a lower priced kit. So anyway, this is just that hyper tough 550 cord, which is not real 550 cord. It's only about 110 pound test line, but plenty enough for what we're doing for this budget kit. So we got our cut, we got our cordage, and we're just throwing everything in the main compartment here. So let's look at our combustion. Just a cheapie. This is like $3.99 on Amazon. Just a no-name ferro rod and striker. Good enough, gets the job done. You throw in your Bic lighter, which is what, $2.50 if you buy a separate one, but if you buy a 5-pack, it gets it down to about $1 each. And then I took my storm matches from my kit. It was 2 packs of 25 of these for $5, so that works out to be 10 cents each. This is 9 of them. So that's 90 cents. Threw a striker in there, facing out to hopefully not strike those matches. And I just happen to have this cheapy little baggie that they just fit perfect in. So fairly complete fire kit for, what is that, $4, $5, $6. Getting it done for cheap. And then just to finish out that fire category, one of the cheapest little tea light candles you'll find. I mean, if I said this was $1, there's no way. I bought a big box of these. I think it was a set of 24 at the Goodwill for dollars. So this is probably more like 10 cents. But even if you pay a quarter for that thing, so be it. You got your fire. You cut cordage combustion fairly well covered. So let's go to that cover option. And talking about something you can get really cheap. This was $3.99. Again, I think I was shopping around. It was either the Goodwill or a thrift store. You know, I'm always looking for kind of like, what kind of cheap little stuff can I find in here that will work for survival? And so this is 70 by 72 inches. So what is that? 5 feet is 60 inches. So this is about 6 feet, almost 6 by 6. So that's plenty big enough to make a small lean-to, or even to just wrap yourself up in it and get out of the rain. Put your ridge line across, maybe just 2 feet off the ground, so that you can make a small little teepee shelter with this and lay in there. But you know, it's vinyl, it's heavy duty, it's got the grommets on the top, so like for the lean-to, that would work great. Or if it's part of a bigger kit, which I might use in a later video, to use this as that front cover portion of like a super shelter with your better tarp And then this is just your front portion. But for a cheap kit like this, for $4 for some cover, we got it covered. So let's slide that in there. And then onto our container. So this cheap little kit, this was about $5 on Temu. $4.50, $5. And it's just 12-ounce little flask type thing. So, you know, I've been out on a 5-mile hike where I didn't bring any water. And, you know, just about anybody can hike 5 miles without water. But if it's 80 degrees out, 90 degrees out, and if you want to chug some water in the middle of a 5-mile hike, this is plenty. You know, put some cold water in there and stuff that in that bag, and you're all set to go. And some options. I went with this one because I'm in this small little sling pack, but just as cheap is kind of these little aluminized water bottles from Walmart. Now, back in the day, I've had this for a long, long time. They used to be $1. But they might be up to $5 now. But it might, you know, bigger. I think this is 24 ounces. So a lot more water, but just a little more space. So for this kit, we just went with that small 12 ounce. Attached to the outside of the bag, I usually have my little UST whistle. And, you know, plenty loud whistle. And you open it up and you have that little paper in there. It's kind of like a little rescue, write a message, but for me, I kind of think of that as just some extra little tinder in there. And, you know, somewhere I got my D-ring here. I can clip that on and have that readily accessible. And then since we're holding the bag right now, we'll take a look at our tape option. This is just some duct tape. And how these little clips work, and I bought like a 4 or 5 pack of these clips for pretty cheap on Temu also. And they just clip on there, and then you got this little rubber band you can strap things on, you know. So especially if you put more of them on there, you could have, you know, especially on a bigger pack where you got 2 or 3 of these across, and you can sling some things in there. So just to have some readily available tape on the outside. Just a cheapie also, and you know, that talking about the price, you know, this little roll of tape is $2.50, maybe $2. You buy a 2-pack of them. Again, not the cheapest headlamp you can buy, but those really cheap ones that are like $2 are just completely worth it. This Coast one, it might be $10, but at least it's going to be way more useful. You got bright, you got low, medium, and you got red, and you got red flashing. And so a lot more functional. I think there's 3 AA's in here. No, 2 AA's in there, I mean. So we got plenty of capacity to light the way, to get you through the darkness. Cheap cotton option again. Just a cheapy bandana, you know. There's plenty of, there's a schmog for $15, and there's your survival bandana for $10, and you know, you can get these for just a few bucks also. You buy a 10-pack of these for like $10. So I mean, if you think of it like that, you know, this thing is like $1, and it's enough to as we get into our first aid kit in a minute, you know, it's kind of those just nicks, cuts, scrapes, scratches, bruises. You know, this is all, you know. Grab some of your duct tape, grab your knife, cut some pieces off of there, you know, cut a little piece of cotton off of here, wrap it around your finger, wrap your duct tape around, you know. It can get you by long enough to get back to civilization, and without having to be too worried about cleaning and treating, and we'll do all that when we get home. This is just for that cheapy emergency. Again, lower end, but functional. North is that way. So it's just a cheap base plate compass. Let me look at this closer if I can catch a name on here. I don't see it. I almost think this came in another lower end survival kit, but just looking up your basic camping base plate compass, you know, they're like $10 at Walmart. You can even find these at like some of your camping stores like Shields or Gander Mountain. We're in the camping section for, you know, $6, $8, $10. You got a little magnifying glass there meant to help read your map, but you know, you could also use it to try to get a fire going there. So cheap little base plate compass. And Last thing before we look at our little first aid option is that little fishing kit. As far as just a cheap little bug out kit goes, the ability to procure some food. I'm in Minnesota, so land of 10,000 lakes, more like 12,000. Although Wisconsin has more and Alaska has way, way, way more lakes. We have a lot here. And so I did modify it though, like I said in the one video where I showed this little, well, let's show it. I did add some things, but you know, what it comes with is that fairly decent bobber. Like, it's not even that small for a small little kit like this. And then some really nice, neatly wound, looks like maybe 6-8 pound fishing line. Looks like a good amount too. You know, you might even have 50 to 100 yards on there. Before I start spilling everything else out, we just a 10 pack of hooks. And this was all the stuff that came with these little kits. And like I said before, it came in a box of them. I got a bunch of these, and then they're cheap. I think this thing was like $1 for one of these, maybe less than $2. And then a really cheapy little folding razor blade knife, like really cheapy, but it's super sharp. Obviously, razor blade sharp. It can cut that line. I can see just gutting a fish and throwing that thing on the fire, you know. So in an emergency, you could do that. And then what I added was just a bunch of sinkers and swivels. So we got hook, line, and sinker and swivel. So now our fishing kit is a lot more complete, and it's still nice and neat in our little fishing bag here. So we're all set up to survive the day. You know, this could even be fun in a non-survival situation. I mean, you got your fishing license on you, of course, and you're out on a hike and you find a lake and you're like, hey, let's just cut a little 10-foot pole here and string it up and throw a sinker and a hook and throw a little bug or worm on there and toss it out. Maybe, you know, you catch on to some panfish. And then last thing, just a small first aid kit pouch that I picked up. This pouch for like $3 on Temu. I just wanted an empty first aid pouch because when I build a lot of these kits, it's just nice to have something that says first aid so you kind of know where to go. So for our little scrapes, you know, we have that bandana and that tape, and we don't have a lot of options, and because we're just trying to keep things fairly cheap here. I did go with the big boy though, as far as a cheapy kit would go, is a 4-inch kind of a knockoff Israeli bandage. The print on here is just not coming through on video, but it is a Temu lower end. I bought a 2-pack of these for like $10 or $8, so figure $4 or $5 for a pretty traumatic wound bandage where you could really wrap up a massive gash with this on your thigh, on your calf, on your forearm. You fell down and hit a rock and just sliced yourself open. This could be a lifesaver, you know. Smack your head. It's that big deal wound, you know. You're not gonna open this thing for cutting your finger, but just that big, going big for trying to keep it small, trying to keep it cheap. You know, we could technically even leave this first aid pouch out of this kind of little bag, but just for the sake of the video, seeing that this is where our first aid stuff is. So, and then also I have this little just a little keychain type container where you just have you have some little storage compartments here. So for me, if I'm lost out for 3 days, I'm going to need my blood pressure medication. So I have some of that in that one. And I just have some baby aspirin in this one, which if you watch some of us old timers making bug out bags, you know, we're putting our little baby aspirin in there because they're a help, like a blood anticoagulant to help your platelets not stick together. And then in the bottom here, we just have a few ibuprofen for the body aches and pains. So just within this little keychain device here, we have 3 types of medications you could choose from. For me, it was kind of just like what I might need if I'm really lost for more than a day, and then some pain relievers. You know, you might want to go like antihistamine, antidiarrheal, and some Tylenol. You know, it's personal for everybody. So let me just lay this kit out here real quick, and we'll try to come up with a estimated price. Okay guys, there we have it all laid out. Now that we see it laid out, you know, it's a fairly complete kit for a budget mindset. You know, adding it all up here, guys, I'm estimating on the high end about $65. And of course, that's not including the bag. But to be honest with you, this kit would fold all the way up and just be in this bandana. And you could tie it up and just carry the bandana like that. It's right between $60 and $65, maybe, depending on where you bought it and what kind of deals. And are you counting this costed you $3 to buy one or $1 to call it 5-pack? You know, so same thing with the matches, and you know. So, but just look at even $100 bag, and because there's cheaper items than this. But you definitely don't want to go much cheaper than this. You know, like that paracord is as cheap as you could possibly get for what you're getting. I mean, anything, you're gonna put some kite string in there. That Coast headlamp, you know, there's $3 headlamps out there that, you know, they have the little button battery and they're just worthless. So same thing. You know, you obviously we can upgrade it. You know, another $50 in a kit is always gonna add some value, but you know, obviously add some price to it too. So I hope you guys enjoyed the kit. Hope you're enjoying the channel. I appreciate the comments so much when you guys just say anything about the kit, or you say you enjoy the videos. It's really motivating me and driving me to want to make more videos, and I'm trying to get on here every day, or at least every other day, and build out a kit. You know, my little bug out room here, you know, I got just bins and boxes stacked to the ceiling of just survival gear. Got my big old bug out bag there with the butt pack. Got to get back into that. I've been waiting. Probably, it's looking like we're going to have to wait till after the holidays. And then my little essentials of priorities of survival in this kit. You know, so we kind of got to, we'd probably grab that one if we were on foot. And we'd probably grab both of them if we're in the car. And, you know, just looking around the room, we got stuff laying around all the time. We're experimenting and getting into different ideas and different kits. And, ooh, some of my knives over there. Oh, you gotta love the Swiss Army knives. So, guys, let me know what you think. I think we just hit about 365 subscribers, one for every day of the year. You really need 1,000 to... I think at 500, I can start putting some links in the videos. Like, hey, I'll link it right here, and you can buy these matches. I can't do that yet. I tried to do it on yesterday's video, and it said I needed, I think it said 500 subscribers. So on that note, guys, I hope you will consider to support the channel. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Comment is just amazing. Helps the algorithm, pushes the video out, motivates me. And, I appreciate all the comments, giving me ideas, critiquing, you know, add this, subtract this. But this is just that cheap, that you know, not the bottom end quality, but what can you get for 65 bucks? I mean, you go out for a steak dinner, you're paying that like per person. And here's a little security. Like, if I bundle this up in this bandana and throw it in the trunk compartment where my spare tire is, I wouldn't miss any of this stuff, and it would be there if I need it. So on that note, guys, I really hope you enjoyed watching Airborne Outdoors, and I will see you in the next video.